Hey, welcome. If you work in finance, you already know things are changing, and they're changing fast. Today, we're going to talk all about that change, but not as something to worry about. No, we're talking about a massive, career-defining opportunity. We're diving into the evolution of finance careers, and it's all thanks to the incredible field of decision science.
This quote really nails it. We're not just dealing with a little bit of extra data anymore. We're practically swimming in an ocean of it. Think about it. Market trends, customer transactions, you name it. This data explosion is completely reshaping the entire professional world. And finance is right at the heart of it all. And that really is the big question, isn't it? When you're faced with this flood of data, it can feel, a little overwhelming. But here's the thing. For any finance professional who's looking ahead, this isn't a problem, it's an opportunity. It is the raw material you can use to build a more strategic, a more impactful, and let's be honest, a much more valuable career.
So here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll look at this new frontier in finance. Then, we'll compare the classic analyst role to the new decision scientist. We'll get into the actual science behind it all. After that, we'll talk about the powerhouse combo of human expertise and AI, see some real-world examples, and wrap up with a clear roadmap for your future as a scientist.
All right, let's start right at this new frontier. We are at a really interesting point where the way we've always done things in finance is starting to hit a wall. And that's pushing us out of this world of just data overload and into one of incredible opportunity.
The tools we've all relied on for years, right? Spreadsheets, dashboards, historical reports, and look, they're still absolutely essential, but they were built for a different time. They're great at telling us what happened yesterday, but they really struggle to give us the kind of real-time, forward-looking insights we need to stay competitive today.
And this is where it gets really interesting. Because out of this challenge, a brand new professional identity is starting to emerge. We're talking about a role that doesn't just report on the past, but actually gets to shape the future. A role that turns data from just a reporting tool into a genuine strategic weapon.
Okay, so this brings us to the real heart of this whole transformation. And let's be clear, this isn't about replacing one job with another. It's about a logical and, frankly, super exciting evolution of the profession. So let's really break down the difference between the data analyst and the decision scientist.
So, the data analyst, think of them as the historian of the business. Their work is absolutely critical. They dive into all that historical data to answer two really important questions. What happened, descriptive analytics, and why did it happen? That's diagnostic analytics. They give us the foundation for everything we know.
The decision scientist, though, is more like the architect of the future. They take that very same data, but they use powerful tools like AI and machine learning to ask two forward-looking questions. What's going to happen next? That's predictive analytics. And the big one, what's the best thing we can do about it? That's prescriptive analytics. See the difference? They don't just report on the game. They help decide the next play. Now this chart, this really lays it all out perfectly. Just look at that last row, the decision role. The analyst supports decision makers. The decision scientist actively influences and optimizes those decisions. It's a huge shift from being a valuable resource to becoming a true strategic partner who has a seat at the table.
Okay, so what exactly is the science that's powering this new role? Let's pop the hood and decode the new toolkit. Let's really understand what decision science is all about.
At its core, decision science is really a practical way to just make better choices. But it's not just about fancy algorithms. It's interdisciplinary. It takes the pure processing power of data science and AI and combines it with insights from behavioral science, how people actually make choices, to turn this huge sea of data into the single best, most actionable strategy.
I love this way of thinking about it, the ladder of insight. A data analyst does that crucial work on the first two rungs, telling us what happened and why. A decision scientist climbs all the way to the top. They predict the future, and most importantly, they prescribe the best action to take. That top rung, that's where the massive strategic value gets unlocked.
Okay, whenever we start talking about AI, there's always that elephant in the room, right? This fear that we're all going to be replaced. But that is completely the wrong way to look at this. The real story here is about a powerful and, honestly, an unbeatable partnership. You know the story, the myth. It's this big, dramatic showdown, man versus machine. And yeah, it makes for a good movie plot, but in the real world of finance, it's total fiction. It just creates a lot of unnecessary stress about technology making our human expertise obsolete. But the reality? Oh, the reality is so much better. It's a partnership. It is your deep, nuanced financial expertise, something no machine can ever replicate, working hand in hand with the machine's incredible ability to spot patterns in billions of data points. AI isn't your replacement, it's your most powerful tool.
And here's exactly how that partnership works. You provide the why. You understand the market, you know the regulations, you get the business context. The machine provides the what. It finds all those hidden statistical patterns that no human ever could. And the result? You get decisions that aren't just faster, they are fundamentally smarter, more accurate, and, this is critical, transparent enough to be explained and audited.
So let's bring this down to earth. Enough with the theory. How does this amazing combo of human smarts and machine intelligence actually show up in the day-to-day world of finance?
Well, the impact is everywhere. In risk management, we can finally get ahead of crises instead of just reacting to them. For fraud, we can spot and stop bad activity in milliseconds. It means making credit decisions that are not just more profitable, but also more fair. It helps optimize incredibly complex trading strategies and allows us to create truly personalized banking that customers actually love. And here it is. This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's probably the biggest hurdle in finance. If some AI model tells you to make a decision, but you have no idea why, how can you possibly trust it? How could you ever explain that to a regulator? It feels like this mysterious, untrustworthy black box.
The answer is a field called explainable AI, or XAI. And this isn't just a vague idea. It's a real set of tools and technologies built specifically to crack open that black box. XAI is all about making sure that AI-driven decisions are transparent, that they're understandable, and that they're fully accountable, which, in a regulated world like finance, is completely non-negotiable.
In fact, if you look at the framework from NIST, good XAI follows 4 key rules. First, it has to provide a clear explanation with evidence. That explanation has to be meaningful. In other words, a human can actually understand it. It needs to have explanation accuracy, meaning it's a true reflection of the logic. And finally, it has to know its own knowledge limits and tell you when it's not so confident. This is how we build the trust that finance absolutely demands.
Okay, we've covered the what and the why. Now let's get to the most important part, the how. We're going to wrap this up with a concrete, actionable roadmap to help you make this career evolution a reality.
Look, this is an ambitious goal, but it is 100% attainable. It starts with expanding your technical skills in areas like machine learning. Just as important, you have to deepen your business acumen. Your domain expertise is your superpower. From there, it's about getting comfortable with the modern tools, getting your hands dirty with real projects, and finally, making a conscious effort to build a strategic mindset. The goal isn't just to find an insight anymore, it's to deliver the recommended action.
So let's end with this thought. The future of finance isn't being built on spreadsheets anymore. It's being architected right now with data, with algorithms, and with human insight. The question is no longer if this is happening, but what role you're going to play. Will you be one of its architects? Thanks so much for watching.